Welcome to another live stream with Hotel Tia. My name is Ragnhild Lund Ansnes and I am the lucky host hosting you through a very special night with a very special man, Jan Mølby. Jan, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm actually feeling really good. Obviously, what's happening in the world is not ideal, but I think we find a way of coping with these things. So yeah, I'm as well as I can be, and I believe there's a few people from Norway listening on this as well, and I hope everybody in Norway is well. I mean, if you look at the numbers in Norway, things are certainly looking really, really good, and you will almost be back to normal before we can blink. So we're slowly, I think, around, and we're slowly coming out of this.
Yeah, talking about Norway, we are co-sending today with the Norwegian supporter branch, the official one, because we are, as a hotel, the Norwegian supporter branch partner in Liverpool. And if you represent a branch out there and you would like to team up with us as well, when we get back to normal, please get in touch. Jan, there are so many questions to you tonight, and we're so thrilled that you are giving up some of your time to be with us, because it is a pretty special weekend. This tomorrow was supposed to be the day that we have been waiting for and longing for 30 years. How are you feeling that it's all on hold?
Slightly disappointed, but obviously there was nothing we could do about it, and I still have a feeling that, you know, they're going to do everything they can to finish the season so Liverpool can be crowned champions and another 3 teams can join them in the Champions League. And of course, and this is also very important, we will lose 3 Premier League teams and 3 new clubs will come up. But I think they're going to do everything that they can. And I think the fact that here we are on the 16th of May, the kind of first day when big time football is back, isn't it, with the Bundesliga today. So I think all that is good, and I think the British government will look at that and think if they can do it, we should be able to as well.
Have you been looking at any of the matches in Germany today? I know that a certain Haaland didn't take more than less than half an hour before he scored again. He's on fire, that young lad from Norway. But it's a bit strange, isn't it, to see the matches with no audience, ball boys with face masks, and it's just a different thing, isn't it?
Yes, but we will get used to it. I mean, this is a season with VAR, and we're starting to get used to VAR. And the best we've got right now is football without fans, and we just have to put up with it. And I think over the next couple of weeks, I think the players will get more used to create their own energy, the energy they normally get from the fans. They'll be able to create that themselves. And I think the fans who watch it on TV will also find a way of accepting that this is the way it is. So today was strange. Very difficult to sort of get over. But what I was doing, I was flicking through the matches. I think the big game was obviously Dortmund against Schalke, where Haaland scored again. What an incredible player he is. But also I had an eye on Leipzig because I'm really, really interested in Timo Werner, who of course has been linked with Liverpool there. So, but I think all in all, considering they haven't played for almost 60 days, I think it was a good day with plenty of goals. There's always plenty of goals in Germany.
Talking about Werner, I have a message here from Damien Wall. She said he was watching Werner today as well. What a super player. And he's wondering, what is your thought on Werner? Do you think he will come to us in Liverpool?
Yeah, I do. I don't think there's going to be an awful lot of transfers happening this forthcoming summer, but I think that in many ways suits Liverpool. We've got a very strong squad at the moment. There will be 1 or 2 players leaving, but we've got some young players who need to be introduced into the squad. So if Liverpool can't spend any money, I don't think it'll be a big problem. Timo Werner, eventually, I think will come. I think his preferred choice is Liverpool. And also when I look at him, and I'm thinking he's a top player, but I couldn't see play for Barcelona because they play in a different way. They play possession-based football. That's not his game. His game is exactly what we're all about, which is about running fast, being able to make good decisions when you're running fast and working really hard. So he just, sometimes you see a player, a top player, that is just made to play for Klopp and Liverpool.
Is there any other players you have in your mind that you're dreaming of coming to Anfield in the next season or 2?
Obviously, I think if you look, and it might hurt me to say this a little bit, but I think if you look at the impact that Bruno Fernandes has had at Manchester United, now I would love Liverpool to sign that type of a midfield player. A midfield player that brings something different to what Milner or Keita or Wijnaldum or Henderson brings. So I would dearly love us to get, you know, and who would that be? I mean, you know, we could go back to Germany. They played Monday night Leverkusen. They got the young boy Kai Havertz, who looks a really, really good player. So let's wait and see, and also let's wait and see what kind of money Liverpool have available to make transfer. But I think there's plenty of exciting young players out there.
The big question is June 12. That's when Premier League wants to get back into action. The manager seems to be positive as long as they get around a month to train with the team before they get going, which is realistic. But the other question is neutral ground or not. What's your take on that?
Well, Ragnhild, this is where it's all different from Germany to England, because the challenge in England is entirely different. And one of the big problems, obviously, is neutral grounds. In Germany, they're going to be playing home and away matches, not a problem. Whereas in England, at the moment, it looks like it's going to be neutral grounds, which most of the clubs are not very happy with. And I fully understand that. But if it's the best we can get, then we have to get on with it. But also, I think everybody in Germany wanted to play. You don't get that impression in the Premier League. I think there's clubs who are quite happy should the season finish now, no relegation, no champions, no nothing. But that's not going to happen. It can't happen. We have to finish. And so what I would like to see is the Premier League more speaking as one organisation. I'm a little bit fed up listening to Troy Deeney or to Aaron Creswell or to Glenn Murray at Brighton and keep telling me that they don't think we should play the season. Everything we do right now, there's a risk involved, isn't it? You go to the supermarket, there's a risk. You go to the hospital, you go see the doctor, there's a risk, and it'll be no different to football. We have to expect the Premier League to come out and say, we are prepared to take on that risk, and we will now allow the teams to play. So what we need from Germany over this weekend is for no players to have caught coronavirus, and then they can point and say, listen, it's possible.
I have a greeting from Sammy Lee to you as well, because Sammy was on last weekend and he's also sending his regards to everyone watching and thanking so much for everyone who donated last weekend as well. But Sammy is saying the following: please pass my regards to Jan, one of the all-time greats in LFC's rich history and without doubt a trailblazer in the unbelievable talent from abroad, which has enriched and massively improved our football club. That's some accolation from Sammy Lee. Well,
I mean, Sammy's obviously a nice guy and he knows his football. No, I think it's difficult for the people who are watching this will find it difficult to understand that when I joined Liverpool in 1984, there was hardly any foreign players in the English game. So it was different. You know, I think Ossie Ardiles was down at Tottenham. We had another Dane called Jesper Olsen at Manchester United. And then I came, and that was roughly about it, really. So it was a different time, and it was very much British football being played. Half the teams in the first division played proper British football, long balls and fights, and then the other teams tried to play a bit more football. So it was difficult. And I always say that I was lucky I landed at Liverpool. There was a lot of clubs in the first division at that time I couldn't have played for, because that's not the way I played. So I appreciate Sammy's kind words, but I think it was an eye-opener for the players as well, to get a foreign player to come in who saw the game different and played it in a different way. So as much as I quickly learned how to be able to cope to play in the British game, I also think that one or two of them might have looked at me and learned something from the way that I've been brought up playing the game, not just in Denmark, but also during my 2 years in the Netherlands.
What could you teach them that they didn't sort of think of?
Well, I think it was just a different game. My first game, Norwich City away, and I get the ball, and the first 3 or 4 times I get the ball, and Norwich players take the ball off me, because I'm looking to pass the ball between midfield players, and they're going, no, for the first 20 minutes until the game settles down, we put the balls in the channels and then we fight for the second balls. And I'm going, so we just give the ball away? And they go, yeah, we give the ball away. We stay away from fighting against teams who want to fight against us. So we keep the ball in their half and put it in the channel. So all little things like that. But I also think eventually, you know, we maybe started to play a lot more between ourselves, midfield players. We had a tendency for fullbacks to play the ball in to strikers. I kept showing for the ball and saying to the likes of Phil Neal, can you give it to me and we can play through me?
I have a question here from Terence McPeak. Hi, Terence. Nice of you to watch. He says, coming to LFC after playing with some great players in Ajax, what were your thoughts on coming to play in England and especially to a club like Liverpool Football Club?
Well, I wanted to go to England. I probably wanted to go to England when I went to Ajax, but I thought I was too young. So I went to Ajax. And I also think for a lot of Scandinavian players, 18, 19 years of age, it's difficult to turn down Ajax. So I wanted to go to Ajax. But then after that, I was desperate to go to England. I never for 1 minute thought it was going to be Liverpool. I'd done okay at Ajax. I played for 2 years and we won the league and we won the Dutch FA Cup and I'd done okay. But I didn't think I'd done enough to join what was the best team in Europe at the time. But it came about. I went to Liverpool and trained with the first team for 10 days. They liked what they saw and they offered me a 3-year contract. And then I viewed it as an opportunity for me to go and try my luck. If I'm good enough to play for Liverpool, great. But if not, there'll be another club in England who will take me. So it was a bit of a gamble. And it did take me 12 months before I found my feet and I found a position in the team where they could get the best from me. But from looking at joining the likes of Crystal Palace or Sheffield Wednesday and then to end up at Liverpool was almost like a dream.
What was your relation to English football growing up? Because as a lot of people don't know, you Danes and us Norwegians and the Swedes, we all went together to broadcast live games, even from the late 50s. I mean, not everyone had TVs at the time when we started having one live game from England every single Saturday for free. Did that sort of make you pick up on English football as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a massive thing in Scandinavia, isn't it? That one game we'd get once a week on a Saturday afternoon from England. And I think that's where the love of English football comes in Denmark, Norway and Sweden. And it was amazing. And I was no different as a young boy, especially in the winter months, watching a game. And we always used to look at them and think, they're crazy. They're playing in December, in January, there's snow and there's frost on the pitch and whatever, but just the way they went, nothing was ever a problem. So yeah, of course I became a big fan. I wasn't a Liverpool fan, I have to say. I was an Arsenal fan as a child, but we all had a team in England. And as I said before, mine was Arsenal when I was a young boy.
You managed to win the league 3 times with Liverpool, and you did win it already in your second year in the club. Can you try to put into words the sensation of winning the league, being that best team throughout the whole full season?
Yeah, I mean, I'd already tried winning the league when I was with Ajax in 1982-83, and then I come to Liverpool, and the expectations were that we should win the league, but we didn't in my first season. And then the second season, and think of this, Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, the manager is now a player manager, 35-year-old Kenny Dalglish, which was incredible. And of course, as players, we're thinking, how is this going to go? During the season, Kenny will have to make some big decisions, which he did. One of the biggest decisions Kenny made was the 2 fullbacks when we started the season, Phil Neal and Alan Kennedy, a third of the way into the season, he changed those. And the fullbacks then became Steve Nicol and Jim Beckton. So that in itself was a big thing. But I think the best thing about football in Liverpool in the 80s was that the challenge we had was from Everton. And I think our own fans really thought, wow, this is great. The biggest challenge we've got at the moment is right on our doorstep from Everton. So it almost like it's a rebirth of Liverpool in many ways. The challenge now is right on our doorstep. It's Everton, and there will be people watching this who don't remember what a great team they were in the 80s. Everton, fantastic.
But when you finally, well, not finally, because you won it so quickly with your team, won that first league trophy, it wasn't a lot of celebration. It wasn't a culture where you were dancing about and celebrating for the whole following season. You got on with things, didn't you?
Yeah, and obviously people have heard those stories before about how it used to go, and sometimes there wasn't even a presentation. The season would finish, we would have the presentation of the trophy, of course, but not individual medals. And then he'd come in the dressing room after the game, and Ronnie Moran, it was always Ronnie Moran, he would always say, if you played 10 games, you had to play 10 games in those seasons to get a medal. If you played 10 games, go and get a medal. If not, you'll have to wait till next year. And that's kind of what it was like. So sometimes I look back and I think, would I have enjoyed it more if there would have been big celebrations? Yeah, probably. But that just wasn't how we did it. In my first season at Liverpool, in the second half of the season, I played most games in the reserves, and the reserves won the league. And when they won the league, we had a little celebration dinner at Anfield, but that was for the reserve team. When the first team won it, we didn't do anything. Incredible.
But that year when you did win the league, you also won the FA Cup. So it was a massive season for Liverpool. And tell us about that FA Cup final.
Well, you have favourite games, but you also have occasions that you dream of. So when you're a young boy, you dream, you think, I want to play in a World Cup final. Being from Denmark or even from Norway, you think, we're probably never going to play in a World Cup final, yeah? But then you think, I'd like to play in the FA Cup final. You know, I love the FA Cup final. And then for me to do that, I was the second Danish player. The first Danish player was the year before, 1985, yes, Wilson. I was the second Danish player to play in the FA Cup final. And then you have a dream of how the day's going to be. It always ends up with you winning the cup and you being the big hero. It didn't quite work out like that, but still, as a day, in sporting terms, it was probably the best day I ever had in football. It was perfect from the moment we woke up in the morning. We stayed in the Hilton Hotel in Watford, got to Wembley. Kenny announced the team. We went and had a look at the pitch, and then we went out for the singing of the national anthem. We met one of the royal family. We played the game, and the game was dramatic. It was a good game. Two best teams, and maybe in Europe at the time, Everton and Liverpool. They were winning 1-0 at half time, and I always remember Ronnie Moran at half time saying, stay in the game. Don't let them score again. If we go 2-0 down, they'll be too strong. So stay in the game, wait for your moments. We get the moment, Whelan, Mølby, into us, 1-1. And then for the next 15 minutes, we did what we always did. We finished games off. We finished the opposition off in 15 minutes. So when the 90 minutes came, on the big screen, it had Everton 1, Liverpool 3. And that's what we did. For 75 minutes, Everton were as good, if not better than us. But for 15 minutes, when you do your business, bang, bang, bang. See you later. Double winning season.
And who set up all those 3 goals? We know that. Brian Sweetney is reminding you, you know, Jan set up the 3 goals. What a legend. So there you go.
Well, it's, you know, it's all part of making it the perfect day, isn't it? You know, I always think that when you go to Wembley and you win the FA Cup, you also want to come away with some special personal memories. And my special personal memories are the goals. The first pass into Russ, 1-1. The second pass into Johnson, 2-1. And then the third where I set up Whelan so we could cross it for Rush. Yeah, of course, I can't. I want to be as humble as I possibly can, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't play a part. I did play a part, but it was my job. But I was delighted that I did, because I think it's nice as a footballer to have a game. You know, you have a career, but I think it's nice to have a game. So when people come up to me, they say, 1986 FA Cup final, I'll never forget. Or people say, the goal against Manchester United in 85. And I think it's nice to have that. So even people who've never seen you play through history has a connection with you.
That is beautiful. We also need to talk about you as a penalty taker. This one's from Kim Roger Solbakken. He says, hi, Mølby, you were cold as ice on the penalty spot. How many times did you miss a penalty for Liverpool?
Well, I took 45 penalties for Liverpool and I scored 42. The 3 penalties were all 3 saved, which I look back and I've always said about penalties, if you can score 9 out of 10, 90%, I think you're doing okay. And that's basically what I did. But he is in many ways right in that I had ice in my stomach because it didn't worry me. I think the guy who scored the most penalties for Liverpool right now is Steven Gerrard. But I think when Gerrard was younger, I think he was nervous taking penalties. I was never nervous. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't, you know, that challenge, you against the goalkeeper, you being the favourite, I really enjoyed it. When I came to Liverpool, Phil Neal was the penalty taker. And then we used to play Tottenham at home in my second season. And we played in the midweek against Stockport in the League Cup, and Phil had missed a penalty. So I overheard Phil say to Ronnie Moran, if we get a penalty today, I don't want to take it. Because his big friend was in goal for Tottenham, Ray Clements. He said, I don't want to take a penalty against Clements. And I stood right behind and I went, I'll take him. I'll take him. And, you know, typical Ronnie went, you? I said, yeah, I'll take him. And lo and behold, we get 2 penalties. And of course, even Ray Clements after the game said, when Liverpool got a penalty, I'm going, okay, here comes Phil. But it wasn't, it was me. I took those 2 penalties. And then more or less for the rest of my Liverpool career, I was the penalty taker. Although, when we won the league, and we won 2-1 at home against, was the Queen's Park Rangers, I think we beat them 2-1 at home in 1990. And we got a penalty in that game, and John Barnes took it. So even in some games when I was on the pitch, I allowed other people to take it. But no, I mean, yeah, I am proud of my penalty record. I think 42 out of 45 at Liverpool is a good record. And, you know, as I said before, you took against Clemens or Shilton or, you know, some really, really good goalkeepers. So yeah, I can live with that record. I think it's a good record.
And talking about Clemens, he sends his regards as well, because I just spoke to him yesterday in the sunshine. So there you go. The world is pretty small. You have so many games that you were involved with Liverpool. But can you talk to us a little bit about the culture? You know, you said you were one of the first foreigners to come in. There was a lot of English and Scottish players in the team, and so much banter. How was that for you? Because I know Ian Rush, when he first joined the team, he asked for a transfer. He just couldn't handle the banter. It was just too much for him. He honestly said, I need to leave. I can't do this. How was that for you? Was it fun, or was it very testing? And why?
I think I'd obviously been to Ajax for 2 years as a professional, and Ajax is a very professional football club, and it's a place where you work. It isn't necessarily you know, although Ajax is a great football club, but it isn't necessarily a football club you play for 10, 12 or 15 years. You come in, you work really hard, and then they sell you. And you have fun memories of Ajax, because everybody, or most people go to Ajax, go on to do better things. But I think Liverpool, straight away when I got there, I sensed this is different. This is a place where so many of the players had already been there for a number of years. Kenny Dalglish, Alan Hansen, Phil Neal, Alan Kennedy. These guys have been at Liverpool for a long, long time. And straight away I sensed that this is different. Players spend more time with each other, not at the training ground or for matches, because we do that wherever we play. But apart from that, once a month we will organise something, a golf day or go-karting. We play on a Tuesday, we go out together and have a beer. All these things, and we go and stay in the hotels before games. We would play pool and darts and cards, and we'd always be together. We'd go to each other's rooms and visit each other in the rooms, which is something totally different from Ajax. But you're absolutely right in terms of the banter. The banter was just relentless. You know, people were after you all the time, keeping on your toes. And there was players there who didn't like it. Ask John Barnes. John Barnes said for the first 6 months, I used to get changed next to Alan Hansen. He said, and I didn't like him. He said, but it wasn't until I got what it was about. You know, it isn't enough going to Liverpool to be able to play football and be a good footballer. You have to be rounded as a human being. You have to be able to cope with everything life throws at you. And I think that goes back to the days of Bill Shankly, when he decided he wanted to conquer Europe. He thought, what I need is big personalities. So you had to be a big personality. And that's probably why when Ian Rush came, he struggled a bit, because Ian was very quiet. But by the time I got to Liverpool, I think he got over that initial shyness. And we all fitted in well into the dressing room, and we all had a role. Some were louder than others, some were busier than others, but we all had a role to play. It was incredible. It was. And I know some people think it's boring, but it was a big family. I mean, even here tonight, you've sent me 2 messages already. Sammy Lee, Ray Clements, all from the family.
What role did you have when everyone had their own roles? What was your role in the team?
Well, I was, when I came, obviously as a young boy, I wasn't one of the organisers, and I wasn't one of the ones who would be part of making decisions. But I fitted in well because I have a sharp, sarcastic humour. And I think that was like, so when there was things happening, I think half the time they'd expect me to say something, because they thought, well, that's Jan's role. So we would play pool, and Alan Hansen would organise the pool, and Steve Nicol would be the best player. And then when somebody did something, I would then say something, because, as I said before, I had a sarcastic sense of humour. Then the longer I stayed and I became a senior player, then I took over from the likes of Alan Hansen by organising and almost being the president of the players' committee and all these things. But to start off with, it was, I don't like to say humour, because maybe not everybody thought it was funny, but it fitted in well. And yeah, I was always going to say I was I was razor sharp in my remarks, but I probably was. I didn't move very quick on the pitch, but I was thought pretty quick, and I had some pretty good answers in my head.
Thomas Flaherty here is saying, ask Jan, where did Bruce go when he was first brought out in Liverpool? Was it you that knocked on his door and took him out?
No. It was the other way around. It was typical this thing. It was typical this thing about.
Of course, yeah. When you arrived, Bruce knocked on the door and took you out. Of course.
Bruce has obviously gone home, and he said to the wife, "We've got some fellow from Denmark. I think he's bored in the hotel. I'll go and take him for a beer." So Bruce knocked on my door Sunday night. I'm on my way to bed, because when I was at Ajax Sunday night, you go to bed. And I said to Bruce, what are we doing? He said, "Come on, my boy." You know the way Bruce talks. "Come on, my boy," he said. "We're going to have a beer." And I went, "Sunday night? Nobody's out Sunday night. Everyone will be, no. And we walked into this place called Streeters Wine Bar in Liverpool. It was full, absolutely full Sunday night. And Bruce goes in, he goes up to the bar, 1 pint of Guinness, 1 pint of lager. He gives me the pint of lager, and then he disappeared. I never saw Bruce again. I'm like in this bar with my beer, and I'm going, "Where's Bruce?" So I stand on my own, but of course I look for him. I just look. In those days, if you were from Denmark, you looked like you were from Denmark. So eventually this guy comes over and he goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Denmark." He went, "Denmark?" He said, "You know the football club, Liverpool Football Club?" He said, "They got a footballer from Denmark. Do you know him?" So I just said, "No, I don't know him." He said, "Never mind." He said, "I've heard he's hopeless anyway." So what an introduction to Scousers that was, you know.
And talking about Bruce, I was fortunate to write his recent autobiography, and he told me a hilarious story from Kolding when you guys went there to play a pre-season match, and what happened in the bus on the way home. Jan, tell us about that. That is insane.
Yeah, when Bruce drove the coach.
After how many drinks? Oh gosh.
Yeah, we're on this big coach somewhere, and the next thing, the driver is standing right in front of me, and I said to him, "The coach is driving. What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, it's okay." He says, "Your goalkeeper's driving the bus." I went, "Pardon?" He said, yes, your goalkeeper's driving the bus. 52 seats at 4 o'clock in the morning. We got the goalkeeper. And I went, "Really?" He went, "Yeah." He said, "He's fine." And there he is, Bruce. And we stayed in this hotel out in the country. We had this long drive up to the hotel, and Bruce is driving, beeping the horn with the whole team. You know, all the players, Ian, Russ, and everybody's on this bus that Bruce is driving. So yeah, but Bruce, you know Bruce. You know, Bruce was just incredible. You know, and what a great book. If you haven't bought it already, the autobiography is fantastic, and there's some really good stuff about his time in Rhodesia, isn't it? Really interesting upbringing. Yeah, Bruce is different from any of us. Totally different story to any of us. But yeah, crazy. But Bruce didn't think it was crazy. He's driving a coach in the middle. He doesn't think it's crazy. We all think, "Man, you're crazy." He goes, "What's the problem? What's the problem?" And it wasn't a problem, because that man could do anything he wanted to do.
I know, he is a multitasker, and that's for sure. Kevin Briggs is asking you, was you ever one to play a joke on another player? If so, which one was the best?
Well, the easiest target was always Steve Nicol, because Steve believed anything you said, and people often played jokes on Steve Nicol. So he would have had to be the one that you would, you know, Kenny Dalglish and Alan Hansen always had a joke with Steve Nicol. But it was good fun. I mean, the favourite and the easiest one to tell is about when the 4 Scottish guys were going up to play for Scotland, and they were driving from Liverpool up to Glasgow, and it was in the winter, and it was snowing, and Graham Souness was driving the car. So you had Alan Hansen, Kenny Dalglish, Graham Souness, and Steve Nicol. And Graham is driving the car, and it's snowing. So they get halfway up the motorway, and Graham pulls over, and Steve goes, "What are you doing?" He said, "There's snow on the windscreen, and the wipers are not working." So Steve goes, "Not a problem." He said, "I'll go out and wipe it." So he gets out the car on the motorway and wipes the window. And as he gets out, they drive off. He was left on the motorway in December in a pair of tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt, and they drove off. And there he is on the motorway. And it took them about 20 minutes before they come back. But the best story around it is, we went to Scotland to play in a testimonial. So we're coming back to Liverpool on a Monday morning, and the weather's really bad. So the next thing, the coach stops. So we said to the coach driver, "What's wrong?" He said, "A tree is blown and it's blocking the road. We will be here for hours. They have to move the tree. So we'll be here for hours." So Steve Mickle says, "Don't worry, lads," he said. "As we were driving down, I saw we passed a wagon with Heineken." He said, "I'll go back up and get some beer." So he gets the yellow raincoat off the coach driver and walks back up, finds the Heineken wagon, gets 2 crates of 24 cans of Heineken and brings them back to the coach, gets them on the coach at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then Kenny was the manager, and Kenny seen it, and he went, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Nico went, "Don't worry, Gaffer." He said, "We'll still win on Wednesday. Don't worry about it. We're just having a beer." He said, "We're bored, you know."
That's brilliant. There's a message here from South Africa, from Abel Iglesias. Hello, Abel. Lovely that you're watching us again. He's a good mate of Bruce Grobbelaar, by the way. And he says that you are one of the best brains he's ever seen on a football pitch. What do you think of that?
Well,
how did you read the game? How much did you think, and how much was just intuition?
It's, you know, again, it's, you always got to be careful that this doesn't sound the wrong way. But when I played my first game of football, 11-a-side, I knew straight away. You know, some people play and they go, "What is this?" And I will do that with cricket or with rugby or whatever. But you know, the first time I ever played football, I went, "I've done this before. I know how this works." And that's what it was like. And so I think everybody who plays, even everybody who plays at the highest level you can play at, and I guess I would have been there playing international football and playing for Liverpool and Ajax. We all have a skill. Some people are very quick. Some people are very skillful. My ability was to almost be ahead of most other players in my head. I had an idea of what was going to happen. I could sort of figure out where's the ball most likely going to go, where's the players most likely going to move. So, and this is the thing about it, is that there's a lot of things you can teach footballers, but I think the one thing we all bring that's individual, I think we're born with that. And I think I was born with the ability to, read the game, knowing what was going to happen, where my teammates were and whatever. I don't want to sound big-headed, but I wasn't a great athlete, you know. I wasn't quick, and so it had to be something else. And it was my ability to do things that, and that's why when I look at football today, I love that type of player. And I don't always think about myself and thinking, "Oh, he's like me," but I just love watching players who play the game in their heads. You know, Iniesta, Xavi, Paul Scholes, Xabi Alonso, all these type of players. I love them. They're my type. They're my favorite type of players.
Who in today's Liverpool team remind you most of yourself in that sense?
Well, I think, see, had I been a player today, I wouldn't be at Liverpool, because I'm not a Jurgen Klopp type player. Jurgen Klopp is not necessarily a big fan of what I was, playmakers. But I think as this Liverpool team has progressed, this Liverpool team gets better and better and better. And I think we've now got to a level where Jordan Henderson has become much more of a controlling midfield player. So I would think that Jordan Henderson is probably the closest you get to me. Some people will say Fabinho. Well, Fabinho is a defensive midfield player, isn't he? And although I played as a defensive midfield player, I wasn't a defensive midfield player. That wasn't my strength. So I would say that Jordan Henderson, yes, Jordan Henderson is more energetic than I was. But I think in the way that he controlled games is also the way that I control games. So, but of course, over the last 25 years, the nearest I've got to be was Xabi Alonso, wasn't it? He was very much in that same groove as the way that I used to play. I'm not suggesting I was as good as Alonso, but if you have to compare people,
I think you were both pretty decent players, to be fair. Oh, what a player he was too. I miss him. What was your favorite player to play alongside with in midfield in your days?
Well, when I joined Liverpool, the big problem, the big problem was Graham Souness has just left. So Liverpool wanted to sign a type who was just like Graham Souness. They had other midfield players, people like John Walk, Sammy Lee could play centre midfield, Craig Johnson could play, but they wanted somebody like Graham Souness, a tough player. So they brought me in. I was big, strong, and Joe Fagan always looked at me and thought, he is not like Graham Souness. And that's why in my first season, I only played 22 games, because Joe couldn't look past. He's going, I want him to be like Souness, and he's not like Souness. And it wasn't until Kenny became the manager, and Kenny went, you're nothing like Souness. He said, but you have something else. So when Kenny took over, because it was 1985, and it was 1985-86, and Denmark had qualified for the World Cup, and I wanted to go to the World Cup, I asked Kenny, will I play here at Liverpool? He said, yes, you will. He said, and I will buy somebody to play with you in midfield. And he bought Steve McMahon from Aston Villa. Now, Steve McMahon is one of these footballers. I know we've had so many good players. I'm looking at a poster here with 50 of the best players we've ever had. But Steve McMahon is one of these players that people sometimes forget how good he was. He was a dream to play with. I'm not sure that Steve will say the same about me, but I needed Steve more than he needed me. So I really enjoyed playing with him. But I had other partners. I had John Walker, who was a really good goal scorer. Kevin McDonald, we bought from Leicester, who didn't have a long career at Liverpool. He was a fine player. Of course, Ronnie Whelan, when he became a centre midfield player. And then later on, when the younger ones came, Jamie Redknapp, Don Hutchinson, Mike Mars, all fine players. But if I had to pick one, if we were both 25 years of age, me and Steve McMahon, we could still do some damage.
Fantastic. Here's a question from Dave, who is Dave's LFC chat on Twitter. He says, who was the best player you ever played with?
Well, the best player I ever played with was Johan Cruyff. And I think that's fair. I mean, people will always say, what about Kenny Dalglish? And I said, well, I never played with Kenny when he was at his absolute best. I played 1 year with Kenny when he was just a player, and then he became a player manager. So the best player I've ever played with was Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff is one of these footballers that even in 100 years' time, we will still talk about it, because he was much more than a footballer. You know, the way that he developed, the way Ajax played, the way the Netherlands played, and of course, the way Barcelona played. So he was, you know, I played with so many great players and against so many great players. And I would say that most of them weren't a lot better than I was. It was very close. But Johan Cruyff was just different. But in terms of Liverpool, as I said before, not Kenny, because I never saw the best of Kenny, but John Barnes. When John Barnes came, I thought, okay, we bought a British player, strong, good in the air, quick. I can live with that. Because I played against John at Watford. And when he came to Liverpool, he was much more than that. He was a really intelligent footballer. So for 3 years until John got injured, or maybe 4 years, at a time, Platini, Maradona, these were the top players in the world. John was as good as any of those. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can pay him. What I find a shame is that after he got injured and he became a centre midfield player, and some people, that's all they've seen. They've never seen John Barnes as a winger, one of the top players in the world. So John is the best Liverpool player I've ever played with, without any shadow of a doubt. A lot of other great players, but John was special. I love playing with John. Give John the ball. He will do magic.
And he's such a nice guy too.
Wonderful, isn't he? Wonderful.
Oh, so nice. He's also been on this show, by the way. We're very grateful for that too. Leif Reidar Kvåle is asking you, what was, in your opinion, your best season in Liverpool?
The best season was 85-86, my first real season in the first team. And at that time, by the time the season finished, I was just turning 23. And you think, it's okay, I'll have better seasons than this. But I didn't. So 85-86, 59 games, 21 goals. We won the league and the FA Cup. That was my best season. And as I said before, when you're 23, you think everything will get better and better. But in the end, there has to be highlights. And 85-86 as a season was my highlight. And it was also, you know, had a real point to prove. New manager, Kenny, in the team, bang, bang. So, but it worked well.
Stephen Ryder, he's wondering, what was the dressing room like when you played?
Well, the dressing room was great. I mean, when I joined, we used to get changed in the same spots every day. So I'd come in and I'd have Sammy Lee on my right, Phil Neal on my left, and then Bruce over in the corner. So it was a great corner to be in. And then the other side of the dressing room is where we had all the bigger stars, you know, Russ was over there, Hansen and Dalglish, but I was on the other side. But it was a great dressing room. As much as we challenged each other and we pushed each other on all the time, we were also great friends. We got on well, we enjoyed each other's company. Hence the reason, and you've seen this, you know, as an outsider come into the group, you see the friendship that we have so many years after. It is unique. I don't like to say that Liverpool is different from so many other football clubs, but I think we are. You know, we have something that probably nobody else. We wanted to be at Liverpool, and once we were at Liverpool, we never wanted to leave. And now we're no longer at Liverpool. We want to be as close as we can. So when you think around it, all these people, Bruce was born in Africa, he's still here. I'm from Denmark, I'm still here. Ronnie Whelan is from Ireland, he's still here.
John Barnes from Jamaica, and he's still there.
Nobody goes home. Even Paul Ince, who played for 5 minutes for Liverpool, and he's a Manchester United legend, he lives over here. Why is he here?
I just had a little message in the door here, and it's a message from Tage, our co-owner at Hotel Tia. He is wondering if you can tell us your Cruyff story. He just loves that story.
Yeah. I mean, Johan Cruyff played for Ajax, went to Barcelona, and then went and played in America. And once he played in America, he finished with the game. He said, I'm no longer playing. And then he came back to live in the Netherlands. He went to watch Ajax play. And the story is that he went into the dressing room at half-time. The team was losing 2-1. He said some things. They won the game 5-2. And then everybody goes, we got to get him back. We got to get him back as a coach. And he went, no. He said, but I'll play. He said, I'll come back and play. Ajax had no money, so they couldn't pay him what he was worth. So he did a deal with Ajax where he would get a percentage of the gate money. So many fans come, he would make money out of that. And he had that deal for 2.5 years. So when I was there, it was his last season. And we were saying, are you going to stay, Johan? And he said, only if I can have the same deal. I want to have a percentage of the gate money. So we're due to play the last game of the season. 2 days before the last game of the season, Ajax come out and say, Johan Cruyff will be leaving. We can't afford to keep him. We're paying him too much money. He will be leaving. So we play the last game at home, and we come into dressing room at half-time. And when we come into dressing room, Johan Cruyff is getting changed already. He's took his playing kit off. He's going into the shower. And the manager says to him, Johan, what are you doing? He says, I'm going home. He said, what do you mean you're going home? It's only half-time. He said, yes. He said, I know that. But he said, I think it's better for me to go. So the coach goes, tell me why. Why do you want to go now? He said, because he said, on the radio at 4 o'clock, which is half-time, there will be an announcement that next season I'm going to play for Feyenoord. He said, and when our fans out there, 63,000, find out I'm playing for Feyenoord next year, he said, I don't want to be here. He said, I'm going home. So Cruyff went home. We played the game. And at the end of the game, all the fans came on the pitch. They smashed up the stadium. They smashed up all our cars. We were locked inside the stadium for hours because Cruyff, you can't go from Ajax to Feyenoord or from Feyenoord to Ajax, but Cruyff did. And of course, when he went to Feyenoord, 1983-84, he did the same at Feyenoord as he did with Ajax the year before, won the league and the cup. Cruyff was just, and the typical Cruyff, he said, I'm doing what nobody else can do because I'm Johan Cruyff. I'm going from Ajax to Feyenoord. See you later.
There's a really good question here from Phil Rose. We did touch on you were one of the first foreigners to come into Liverpool. And Phil says, hi, Big Jan. You are often said to be one of the top foreign players to have played in England. Who is, in your opinion, the best to have played over here from abroad?
I mean, obviously, once the Premier League became what it is today and it became more and more attractive and you could now attract the best players in the world, you know, and Cristiano Ronaldo's played in the Premier League, hasn't he? There's absolutely no doubt that through history he'll be remembered as one of the finest. From a personal point of view, I just thought at that time, if Thierry Henry came into the Premier League today, I don't think we would be as amazed as we were then. Because there's a lot of players who can maybe do similar to Mo Salah, Sadio Mane can maybe do. But when he came, it was such a different attacking player. You know, football in Britain at that time was very, very rigid. A lot of teams played 4-4-2, and then came Thierry Henry, and he was different. But I have to say that Arsenal team, Dennis Bergkamp is another player that you'll never get fed up watching. And when we talk about that type of player, like Dennis Bergkamp, somebody asked me the other day, when Liverpool signed a player, which player did you get most excited about? You know, when Liverpool don't have a tendency to sign world-class players. We sign players and then we turn them into world-class players. He said, but who did you get most excited about? I said, Jari Litmanen. When we signed Jari Litmanen, I went, yes, what a great player he is. Unfortunately, he wasn't a great player for Liverpool. But when we signed him, I thought, wow, but best foreign player. I know Peter Schmeichel won't be happy, but I think Thierry Henry was special.
Another nice guy too, by the way. Steinar Tegan wants to dwell a little bit on your penalties. He says, tell us about the 4 penalties against Coventry.
Yeah, well, it was 4 penalties in 3 days. On a Wednesday night at Anfield, we beat them 3-1 in a cup game where I scored all 3 penalties. The goalkeeper, and this is part of the story, the goalkeeper is a guy called Steve Ogrizovic, who used to be at Liverpool as a reserve goalkeeper. So when we played him in the cup game on a Wednesday, we get a penalty, cup ends, and my style was always wait for the goalkeeper. He goes one way, I go the other way. And if the goalkeeper doesn't go, I put the ball low and hard to the goalkeeper's right. So I always had a long run up because I like to give the goalkeepers time to think. And I think the longer they have to think, they might just move half a second quicker than they normally do. So the first penalty, long run up. When I just get to the ball, Steve Ogrizovic jumps to his right, to my left, and I roll the ball in the other corner, 1-0. 2 minutes later, penalty, cup end. And I'm now thinking, what's he thinking? Because this is now the second penalty in quick succession. And I'm thinking, he's thinking, he won't go there again. So I do the same thing, long run up, just before I get to the ball. Steve dives the same way again, to my left, and I go the other way, in the corner, 2-0. Second half, Anfield Road, penalty. Put the ball on the spot, and by now I know that Steve Ogrizovic is thinking, there is no way Jan is going to put the ball there again. And I'm thinking, there is no way he's thinking. So I did the same again. Ran up, he dives the same way, I put it in the other corner. We win 3. 3 days later, in the league, we play at Anfield against Coventry. 27 minutes in front of the Kop, we get a penalty. I put the ball down, long run up, 1 meter before I get to the ball, he dives to his left, to my right, and I roll the ball in the other corner. We win the game 2-0. After the match, I'm in the players' lounge. He's at the bar, Steve. So I go up to him. I said, Steve, how are you doing? He went, bloody hell, he said. 4 penalties in 4 days. You've sent me the wrong way 4 times. I said, don't worry about it. No, he said, let me tell you a story. He said, when we got to Anfield today, our manager in the team talk said, if Liverpool get a penalty today, we are not going to allow Steve Ogrizovic to decide which way he's going to dive. He said, we're going to have a vote. All the players, you vote now. If you think he should dive to his right, put your hand up. If you think he should dive to his left, put your hand up. So 7 voted he should dive to his left, and 6 he should dive to his right. So he said, when you started your run up, he said, I just dived to my left. And I was like thinking, match fixing. This is a fix. But it's a perfect story around it, because can you imagine the preparation that goes into penalties today? John Achterberg would show the goalkeepers the DVDs and whatever in them days. Shall we vote? Dive that way, who cares?
Love it. There's a question here from Kieran Smith. Jan, who was the toughest midfielder you came up against?
Yeah, we had a lot of, there was a lot of tough midfield players. I mean, you go and play Everton, you play against Reed and Bracewell, good players, but tough. You go and play Wimbledon, you know, Vinnie Jones, we know them all. There was a guy at Coventry called Lloyd McGrath, who was more of a man marker, but he was a really, really tough guy. You go to Manchester United, you come up against the likes of Remy Moses. But while I'm talking about Manchester United, it's also where I find the toughest midfield player I played against. And a lot of people are always surprised at this, but Bryan Robson was a proper competitive midfield player. I believe that the better the player you are, the cleverer you are, it's also easier to be a hard man. And Bryan Robson's timing was perfect. When he hit you, you stayed hit. Bryan was a really, really tough player. And he was always the one player I always used to think, why don't we sign Bryan Robson? You know, and I didn't think, because we can't sign players from Manchester United. But I always thought, why don't we sign him? He's the best midfield player in the league. We should sign him. But of course, we didn't. But the craziest man I played against was Mick Harford. Mick Harford played for Luton, a striker. But he was one of those that he looks at you and he goes, Jan, I'm going to kill you. You believe him. You believe him.
And no cameras to pick up the nasty business.
No cameras. Absolutely not. Can you imagine that? Punching people and pinching people. And
well, that is actually a good shout to one of the raffle prizes today. I'll just have to show you this now. Look at this. Yeah. Oh, that's one tough man. Tough
it is,
tough man.
Yeah,
this is,
and Tommy Smith. But of course, look at the trophies, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. This is quite an emotional prize to hand out because these pictures were given. I have a couple of these, and they were given to me from Tommy's family. And these pictures are some of the last things Tommy actually signed. So that's one of the raffle prizes tonight. If you want to help Hotel Tia and the food bank by donating to paypal.me/Hotel or send some kroner to Vips on 600312. 600312. We will put it in the information above the live stream after we've finished the stream as well. Well, that's one of the incredible prizes you can win today. And also, you've already mentioned him today. This is a candy shirt signed by John Barnes. So we will find out who won this, because I have two for last week soon. And then we will also raffle out one more, because we have two this week. So that's coming up in a little minute, but not quite yet. We have still lots to ask you before then, because we have one from Rob Glover. You touched on it briefly, but we would love to hear you talk about that goal against United. It had to come.
Yes.
Take it away.
Yeah, take it away. So it's my first goal ever in front of the Kop. I'd been at Liverpool for 16 months before I scored in front of the Kop. It was on a Wednesday night, I think, against Manchester United. Manchester United, that season, I think they'd won the first 9 or 10 league games of the season. We're playing against them on a Wednesday night. And there's a bit of a 50-50 challenge inside our half between Whiteside and myself. And I get there just before Whiteside take the ball around him, and then I cross the halfway line. And I'm looking for people to pass to. Ian Russ is making a run to make some space for me. I go past the left back, Clayton Blackmore. Then I go past Bryan Robson. And then the next thing, you got the two centre halves. And I just kept going. And I hit this shot. And you know, you can play golf, cricket, football. And you just, sometimes you know. When you hit something, you know. And as soon as I hit that, I went, if this is on target, nobody's going to stop it. And it flew into the top corner. Gary Bailey was in goal. You can see it on YouTube. You can go in and you just put YouTube, Jan Mølby, that goal. I scored that goal to make it 1-1. And then within 1 minute, we got a penalty and I scored again. We won the game 2-1. What actually makes the goal special? There was no TV cameras at the game. At the first half of the 85-86 season, there was no cameras due to a TV strike. So nobody filmed the goal. So all people had was the memories of either being at Anfield, there was 42,000 people that night, or listening on radio. That was the only memory people had of that goal. 2 years later, somebody puts a video through my letterbox with a note. And it's the physiotherapist from Manchester United. He said, Jan, he said, we film all our matches from the main stand. He said, and this is the match, Liverpool versus Manchester United, where you beat us 2-1 and you scored both goals. And I was like, wow. And I got that video towards the end of the season. I went to Denmark and I took the video with me to show all my family, all my friends in Denmark. And I left the video in Denmark. Never thought anything of it. Never told anyone I had it. And then 15 years ago, I got some new friends and we got talking about the goal. And I went, oh, do you know what? I said, I've got that goal. I've got that goal somewhere. One night, one of my friends rings me and he goes, Jan, he said, I'm on a forum called Red and White Kop or whatever it's called. He said, we're talking about your goal. He said, can I tell them you have a copy? So I went, yeah, tell them, yeah. So he puts on there, oh, Jan's got a copy of the goal, and then everybody's going, want to see it, we want to see it. The next day, Liverpool Football Club ring me, and they go, have you got a video of what? I said, the goal. They went, yeah. I said, yeah, I've got a video. Yeah. They said, we want it. I said, you're not having it. They said, we want to put it on LFC TV. I said, you're not having it. It's mine. I said, not letting anyone see it. So they went, what can we do? So a bit like we're doing here, Ragnhild, I said, charity. Let's do a night at Anfield, charity. People pay. I tell some stories. We show the goal. And that's how it came out. But yeah, it was. But you know when I watched that goal on TV, what made the goal as well was that Bob Paisley wrote a book at the end of the season, 85-86, and he describes that goal as one of the best goals he's ever seen. He said to win the ball so far from the goal, run through and still have the power. He said blah blah blah. So Bob said that. When Bob says things like that, you know he means it. So that made it kind of special. But you know the one thing that amazes me when you watch on YouTube is the noise from the Kop. When that ball goes in, the noise is mind-blowing. I mean, you go to Anfield today, there's 12,500 people sitting in the Kop. In those days, we had 24,000 who stood there, and the noise is unbelievable. And then you have one guy from the stand, as you've seen, he runs on the pitch and he's celebrating with us. You couldn't imagine that today either. But yeah, it was we all need moments in our careers where people leave Anfield and go, he's good at it. And I think that was my night where people go, I like him. So there we are.
Oh, that is such a goosebump story. I can hardly say anything after that. I just want to let that hang in the air, but I have a few more things I need to talk to you about. Talking about magical nights at Anfield, I just can't not talk about the Barcelona second leg in the Champions League semi-finals. Were you at Anfield that night, and how was that compared to the noise when you scored that goal?
So I wasn't at Anfield. I worked for TV3 Denmark. You have TV3 in Norway and Sweden and whatever. And I was in the studio in Copenhagen. It was incredible. I mean, obviously, you still sense the atmosphere, because the atmosphere for the Barcelona game was very similar to the atmosphere against Chelsea in the semi-final in 2005, which is probably the best atmosphere I've ever experienced at Anfield. So I'm in the studio in Denmark. At the end of the game, we do studio for 1 more hour, and we come off air at midnight. And I'm staying in a hotel in the city centre, and I get on the tube, and I'm thinking, shall I go and have a beer? Shall I go and find some Liverpool fans and have a beer? And then I'm thinking, nah, the Liverpool fans would have been in the bar since 7 o'clock, so they'll be drunk now. So no, I'm going to go home. I go back to my hotel, and I open the window in the hotel, and this is 1 o'clock in the morning in Copenhagen. And you would get the same in Oslo. And all I can hear is people walking around Copenhagen at 1 o'clock in the morning singing, Ale, 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 at 1 o'clock in the morning. This is Copenhagen. If it would have been Liverpool, fair enough, but it was Copenhagen. It was just incredible. I went through the airport the next day, everybody, the guy who checked me in, the passport guy, and everybody just went, wow, you know, it was just unbelievable. I mean, do we have more nights or days like anyone else? Yeah, we probably do, because I think we're a club, we're a team that we just don't know when we should give up. We just keep going until the final whistle. That was incredible, wasn't it? I mean, you know, you look, and I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous of players' wages. I'm not jealous of what players experience. I have my own experiences. But sometimes you think, if there was one night you could be part of, that night against Barcelona, because it was Barcelona. It was Messi. You know, it was, I mean, I have a great Europe. I didn't play many European games because we didn't play in Europe much when I was there because of the ban. But one of my favorite European nights was against Auxerre. But that was Auxerre. Auxerre is not Barcelona, and there was no Messi playing for Auxerre, you know. So sometimes you think, yeah, so that is a special night.
I have a question here from Kåre Bakke. How would you have coped in today's game?
Well, I think the one thing that's different today, apart from the laws of the game, they've changed the back pass and whatever. But I think the one thing that's improved is players' fitness, isn't it? And I think if we had access to the same as they do today, I think we would be as fit as the players are today if we trained in the same way. See what they did in our day, Ragnhild. They got us fit. They watch with their eyes, and they get us fit together. And they go, they look fit now. And they all got us fit together. Today, they get everybody fit individually. you know, you get tested and you go, you need this, you need that. So everybody is at peak performances. So when John Barnes came, and I would run with John Barnes, but that wouldn't mean that we would be the same fitness. So as I said, they used to do it with their eyes, and go, they look fit now. Today they get tested, and so you have no idea how fit they are. But if that's what you had to, we could have coped. I mean, in my day, if I was thirsty, I'd drink a cup of tea, a glass of milk, a bottle of Fanta, a beer. If I was hungry, I'd have a sandwich, a burger. Today, they don't eat or drink anything that isn't good for their careers. They never ever put what we call shit in them. Everything is designed. So I think every day these footballers wake up, they feel $1 million. We used to wake up some days and you couldn't get out of bed. But today, after the games, they stretch, they have cold baths and everything, you know. So yeah, I'd have loved to. I did a show with John Barnes a while ago, and somebody asked, if you could pick an era to play in, which era would it be? And John Barnes said, I would have loved to have played under Bill Shankly. So I said, yeah, I understand that. But all the things we did when we were there is the same things they did when Shankly was there. I said, I would love to play today. All that information that they get, all that food, all that drink, all that fitness, and you get a DVD to look at for the guy you're playing against. And me as a penalty taker, I would get a DVD to see what way their goalkeeper's diving off. They have so much information today. It's incredible. So I would like to try it. I don't know whether I'd like it or not, but I would like to try it.
I'm a bit curious in who would you prefer in the midfield in the current team, because we've had a few constellations over this season because of injuries. Who is your favorite midfield team in your eyes for the current team?
I think it's the three that we use the most. Obviously, I think at the start of the season, we knew where we were going to swap the most was always going to be in midfield, because it's where we have the most options. And it's also where the majority of the work is done. So I think Klopp quickly thought, well, I'm going to be mixing with these guys. So Fabinho, although I have to say that after he came back from his injury, he didn't look very good, but he is a good player. Jordan Henderson has just grown and grown and grown. And I think it isn't, with Jordan Henderson, it isn't just to do with ability. It's also to do with his personality. I think he's grown as a personality. And of course, Wijnaldum. Although Wijnaldum has some very quiet games, he's a perfect Jurgen Klopp type player, isn't he? He's tactically very, very astute, and also he's technically very good. But the one who's different, we've got two midfield players who are different, and that's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita. But they haven't quite been able to get into the team. But they're the two who are different. And then, of course, we've got the young boy, and we have, because of Liverpool TV, we know all the players when we're around it. We know all the players in the under 23s and the under 18s. We get excited about young players. But I think we have 2.5 young players right this moment. One of them is Curtis Jones. You know, again, it's to do with personality. It was one thing that I learned when I played at Ajax. Players' personalities. It's so, so important. And I look at Curtis Jones and I'm thinking, yeah, good personality, good player.
He seems so confident.
Yes, exactly. Without being arrogant, just goes, yeah, I can do this. Not a problem. Stop asking me if I'm nervous. Stop asking me if I can do it. I can do this. Let me get on with it. The other player I like as a young player, and this boy is really unlucky, but that's Nico Williams, the right back. He's unlucky because Trent is only 21 or 20. So I don't know how he's going to play. And then I said 2.5 players, and that's because of Harvey Elliott, who also looks a really, really good player. But he's still got some way to go because he's really, really young. But I'm really excited about Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones could be the one that gets into the team and are so different from all the ones we've got already.
Tomorrow, it's a big day for all us Norwegians, plenty of Norwegians watching, because it's National Day. And I just couldn't believe it when the last day of the season was falling so sweetly into place with our National Day. We were just expecting the party of a lifetime at Hotel Tia tomorrow in the garden. But because it's National Day tomorrow, 17. Mai, I am allowing this question from Kåre Bakke in as well. What do you think of the Norwegians who have played for Liverpool?
I think they've all done well. I think what I like is that you sign a player and you go, this is what he does. So when we signed Stig Inge Bjørneby and you go, this is what he does, yeah, then it's no good expecting him to do something else. Or when we sign Øyvind Leonardsen, and he comes and he does what Øyvind Leonardsen does. And that's what I like about the Norwegians. They come and they do what they're meant to do. None of them have ever been what I would say world class, but they've all done their jobs and they've all been really, really good players. So this is what he does and this is what he does. And all the Norwegians stand for that, don't they? You know, this is what I do. And I mentioned Stig Ingerbjørn there before. You know, what a fine player he was. He would never go down the history as a great player because he just did what he did, but he was very, very good at what he did. And I think that goes for all the Norwegians. You know, sometimes you have expectations that, oh, they come to Liverpool now and they'll become even better and better and better. But the one thing they never do, the Norwegians, they never disappoint. They do what they do to a good level. That's why so many of them have played in England. You know, they're perfectly, bang, you can trust them. You can trust the Norwegians, you know.
And Jon Arne Riise scored some very important goals when he had to, didn't he, from his position? That was quite impressive as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the Norwegians feel about, but he's probably the one who's had the biggest impact at Liverpool, isn't he? With his goals and the things he was part of winning, and of course still, and you see with him as well, he's played at other clubs and whatever, but I think he enjoys being a Liverpool legend. You know, Jon Arne Riise was a fine player, and he's a great bloke.
Because we've talked about the Norwegians, we have to talk about a Dane too. There's a question here from Thomas Flerty, I think it's called. As a Dane, were you disappointed that the Laudrup never played for Liverpool as his signing was so close?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Michael was due to join Liverpool in the early 80s, and I think the big problem was the length of the contract. Liverpool saw him as a young player and they wanted to give him a long contract. And Michael wanted a short contract. He said because it was very unusual for foreign players to play in England. He said, if I go to England and I can't get a game in the first team, I want to go somewhere else. And they could never quite agree on the contract. And people always say, what would have happened to Michael if he'd have come to Liverpool? I said, nothing. I said he would have gone in the first team even at 18. Because here we're talking about one of the exceptional players of his generation. So Michael would never have had a problem at Liverpool. So yeah, of course I was disappointed. You know, Michael is 1 in a million. I would be amazed if Denmark ever produces a footballer that has more ability than Michael Laudrup. So yeah, Michael, even in the early 80s, because of the way that we played, would have been perfect for Liverpool. It was a real shame. And I know, I work with Michael now with Danish TV. And I know, because he played for Barcelona, great. He played for Real Madrid, which is amazing. Juventus, Ajax, he's done all that, isn't it? But I think more and more for players, they look at Liverpool and go, if you're still playing, you look and thinking, I'd like to be part of that. And I think if you already had played, you also think back and go, there's something magic, isn't it? And don't forget, in the 80s, you didn't see as much of Liverpool as we do today. Today, somewhere on a TV station, you can see every game. You see all the atmosphere. But back in the day, you know, yeah, I think Michael often thinks, I should have gone to Anfield. I should have gone to Anfield.
Yes, well, tomorrow was supposed, as we've already mentioned, and so many people are watching this now. They had tickets to come to Liverpool, flying in from all over the world. I know we have friends watching in Africa and in Australia and in the US and in Canada and in Ireland and in Norway. They were all planning to come and party and join the parade on Monday. There's a question here from Kieran Smith saying, Jan, what do you think went wrong at LFC when the Premier League began? It is fair to say we didn't handle the transition very well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it was a combination of things. It was a combination of Manchester United, for the first time for a long, long time, getting a good team. And I think we always feared them getting a good team. They were always a big club with a lot of money. But I think we always feared them getting a good team. And they got lucky with the class of 92. You don't produce that many players yourself without being lucky, and they got lucky. And once they got a good team, it's very, very difficult. And I think the fact that it was Manchester United, I think it made Liverpool panic a little bit. Because the challenge was from our biggest rival, I think we panicked a little bit and go, whoa, it's Manchester United. Had it been somebody else, we could have lived with it. But I think the fact that it was Manchester United, we went, we got to keep with them. And we panicked. And we did things we normally don't do. We started to sack managers. Yeah. We sacked Graham Souness. Right or wrong, but we sacked Graham Souness. Then we had 2 managers, Roy Evans and Julia, and then Roy left, and you know Roy, and that was really, really a shame, isn't it? And then we started to spend money. We didn't do our homework. We thought, Manchester United ahead of us. How can we keep up? We'll spend money. So we start to buy. But we didn't buy the right type of players. Recruitment. You know, and I'm sure that if you talk to Graham Souness now, you would be able to say, when Kenny Dalglish became the manager, and he started to, and I'm included in that, because when Kenny became the manager, he put me in the team. And he goes, I don't want you to be a British footballer yet. I want you to be a modern footballer. Think about the game. He signed Beardsley. He signed Barnes. He signed Ray Houghton. None of them physical players. All modern footballers. The future. And then when Souness came in the 90s, and when you're looking at the pitches are better than they've ever been. They changed the laws of the game. No tackling from behind, all these things. And the footballers are now like Scholes, Giggs, Beckham. They're the footballers. What did we do? Souness went back and signed 80s physical footballers. Julian Diggs, Neil Razor-Ruddock, Paul Stewart. And that was, the recruitment was wrong. You needed different footballers. Football was changing. And once we realised football was changing, we were behind. And once you're behind, it's so hard. And it took us 27 years to clean up and get to a group of players where we want every player at the club, and then we can start moving forward. We can start spending money. And I'm sure when Jurgen Klopp came to Liverpool, the owner said, sort the squad out. Get rid of all the players that are no good. Let's get to a tight squad that's good enough. And then when we get into the Champions League, you can have that money. And he got that money, didn't he? Van Dijk, Alisson, and then we moved on. So I think it's a lot to do with obviously Manchester United and how we feel about them and how we panicked when they became the best team in England. But recruitment is a big thing. Souness went back, we should have gone forward. You know, because you think Souness 91, 92, just a few years later, it's Thierry Henry, it's Dennis Bergkamp, totally different type of players.
And talking about recruitment, there's one here from Chris Whitehead. Hi, Chris. Nice that you're watching with us again today. How close did you come to joining Barcelona in 1990? And any regrets it didn't go through? Because you stayed with us till 96.
I couldn't have come any closer. I came home from training one day. I got a message to ring a guy called Tony Brown-Slot. I rung Tony. I knew Tony from when I was at Ajax. He was a Dutch guy. And I said, Tony, what are you up to? He said, what am I up to? He said, I'm the assistant manager at Barcelona. I said, oh, really? I'm sorry. The manager was Cruyff. He said, we played last night and Ronald Koeman got injured. He ruptured his Achilles tendon. He'll be out for 12 months. Cruyff said to me, draw a list of 10 players who can replace Koeman. So I did that. He said, I put your name on a list. When Cruyff saw your name, he went, I want Jan. And I went, really? He said, yeah. Cruyff said, let's go and get Jan. He said, so that's why I'm talking to you now. Do you want to come to Barcelona? I said, it has nothing to do with me. I said, you have to speak to the club. If Kenny Dalglish says, yes, we'll sell him, I'll come. I said, but you have to deal with it. The next day, he's in Liverpool speaking to Kenny, and he comes out and he says, Jan, we've agreed a fee, 1.6 million. He said, I'm going to go back to Barcelona. I'm going to come back at the weekend with your contract, 4-year contract. He said, you're going to play your last game against Luton, fly to Denmark on a Sunday, play for Denmark against Yugoslavia on a Wednesday, fly to Barcelona on a Thursday, you get introduced at the new camp, and then you play on a Saturday. And I'm in Denmark. I played my last game against Luton. We win 4-0 at Anfield. I actually scored the first goal from a penalty. Finished the game. I said my farewells. Go to Denmark. Monday night, I'm in my room. I get a phone call. And the guy goes, Radio Barcelona. You're not come. I went, what? But he couldn't speak English, so I put the phone down. Phone rings again. Johan Cruyff. He said, Jan, he said, we've been to a board meeting. I've explained to the board, I need 1.6 million to buy you. The club has said, no, we got no money. He said, I knew we had no money, but I didn't think they would say to Johan Cruyff, I thought they'd give me the money. We haven't got it. He said, so you're not coming. So I went, okay. He said, but they told me to promote from Barcelona's B team. So in November 1990, Pep Guardiola played instead of me. And then Kenny Dalglish rang me and he said, Jan, you're not going to Barcelona. I said, no, I know, I've spoken to Cruyff. He said, so come back here, not a problem. So the 4 years I should have been at Barcelona, they won La Liga 4 times and the European Cup at Wembley in 1992. But on the other hand, I stayed at Liverpool for 12 years, became the first foreign player to have a testimonial, and here I am today 36 years in the city. It wasn't Barcelona I wanted to play for. It was Cruyff. The pull was Cruyff, not Barcelona. Any regrets? Not really.
And there you are with a beautiful Scouse wife and still happy as ever. And it's lovely that you're watching.
Part of the family. Part of the family around here.
Exactly. There's one here from Mark. We are coming to an end soon, but not quite yet. There's one from Mark Convey here saying, "Hi Jan, your buddy Mark here. Ever been for a daytime swim in Liverpool docks?"
How does Mark know that story? Mark's a Crystal Palace fan and a poker player. I hope you're well, Mark, and everything is well. You're staying, keeping your distance. Yeah. Liverpool first team are due to play in a cup game on a Tuesday night, away from home. 4 first team players, Nigel Spackman, Barry Venison, John Barnes and me, all have minor injuries. So Kenny goes, "You're not going with us. You stay back." So we had no physios or doctors in those days. So Phil Thompson is the reserve team guy. So he does the treatment. So what you have to do is you have to come in Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, have treatment. Then you have to come back in Tuesday, 1 o'clock to have treatment. And because the reserves were playing at night, you don't have to come back at 5:30 or 17:30 to have some more treatment. So when we finished with the treatment after 1 o'clock, instead of going home, John Barnes said, "Let's go into Liverpool to have some lunch." So we went to Liverpool, we had some lunch, we had some beers. It's like 4 o'clock. And Nigel Spackman goes, "Has anyone ever been in the Albert Dock?" Now, the Albert Dock is the Mersey River. And we go, "No." He said, "Shall we jump in?" Sorry, we can't jump in. He said, "Yeah, come on." So we go out the pub and we go and stand on the edge. And it must be 7-8 meter drop down to the water. So we take all our clothes off apart from our boxer shorts. So you got Venison, Spackman, me, and the best footballer in the world, John Barnes. Yeah, all standing in our boxer shorts on the Albert Dock. And then all the crowds, all the buildings, everybody's empty coming out going, "I can't believe this." Well, luckily there's no cameras and no videos, but they're all saying, "I can't believe this." And all the girls are going, "Look at John Barnes in his boxer shorts." So we're all standing there, and then we decide, we're not going to do this. We can't, it's too dangerous. And then Spackman pushes me in, and I go first, head first. We had no idea how deep it was. So I went in, nothing happened, it was deep enough. So I'm in the Albert Dock now. And then to be fair to John Barnes said to Barry and Nigel Spackman, "We can't let Jan do this on his own. We got to jump in." So they all 4 of them jumped in, and then we swam to the side and got out. And you can imagine everybody clapping us. I think we were the first 4 people ever to get into the Albert Dock. So nothing happens. Nobody says anything. 10 months later, we play a game at Anfield and we lose. And we come in the dressing room after the game and we're sitting there, and Kenny comes in and he looks and he goes, "No fucking wonder. No wonder." And somebody goes, "What's up, boss?" He goes, "No wonder we're losing games the way we're behaving." And everyone's going, "What's up?" He goes, "What's up? I'll tell you what's up." He said, "Spackman, Venison, Barnes and Mølby, 10 months ago. 10 months ago, you jumped into the Albert Dock. That's why we lost today." I said, "Christ almighty, Kenny, let it go, let it go." Oh.
It sounds like a Disney song, "Let It Go."
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't very clean, for those who don't know that. It was not very clean, that water.
No, definitely
yeah,
not. I reckon it's a lot cleaner today than it was in those days.
Oh, definitely. Now you can actually go and do obstacle swimming with the kids in the docks. They clean it all up. But it wasn't very clean back then. Definitely wasn't. Jan, it's just unbelievable to listen to all your stories. I want to actually keep you for 24 hours because you could fill 24 hours with absolutely no problem with amazing stories. Now it's though time to find out who is the lucky winner of last week's prizes, because we are doing, for those of you who have joined us a bit later today, We are doing these legend live streams every Saturday at 7 p.m. UK time to fundraise to keep Hotel Tia alive, because Hotel Tia is an LFC themed hotel 200 meters from Anfield with a huge beer garden. Jamie Webster's playing before every home game, always for free, obviously, as a little gift to you all from us. And we have built a football pitch for the kids, so it can be a family-friendly day out, etc., etc. And we've done lots of free legend events, etc. But right now we are struggling because as a young business with huge loans, we didn't have a buffer to be closed for 2 months counting, and it will be closed for quite some time still. And we've only employed Anfield-based people full-time, so we want them to have a job to come back to, and we want all those 30 plus scousers who work for us on match days to have their work when football is back as well with audience. So we are doing these streams to fundraise for that. So if you've liked the show today, it's free to watch, but if you've liked it and if you have a little bit extra in your bank accounts to support us and the food bank in Liverpool, this is your chance, and you can win some pretty cool prizes, as I've mentioned earlier. We are now finding out who won last week's John Barnes signed shirt. The candy shirts were nice, hey, weren't they, Jan?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Pretty nice. What was your favorite shirt, by the way, of all the shirts you played in?
Do you know what? I always liked the away kit, the yellow one, the crown paints. I thought that was really nice. But also, sometimes when we played in the white candy with the black shorts or whatever, but iconic red home shirts, you know, difficult to beat, aren't they? I wasn't a big fan of the first shirts we had with Carlsberg with the stripes across. I wasn't a big fan of those. But I always liked the crown paints yellow away shirt.
I've seen some cool pictures of you in that one. So if you want to donate today, it's whatever you want to donate, if it's £1 or if whatever. But if you donate £10 or more, you get one of these raffle tickets, and I'll write your name behind it. And you'll be in the draw for next week's prizes, which is another, the one that hangs behind me, a candy shirt signed by John Barnes. We have 2. One is going right now, and we will find the winner. Can you do the drum solo over there, Jan? So I can't see, and pulling out the winner of the candy shirt is, it's going to Norway. It's going to a guy. So this is your 17. Mai present, Åsmund Børretzen. Åsmund Børretzen, congratulations. Your shirt. Very good. And then we have this one, your old boss, and he doesn't sign much.
I was just going to say that. That was the first thing I was going to say. To get something signed by Kenny, and that's definitely his autograph. I can see that. It's
an authentic one. That's been donated by Rob O'Brien in Liverpool signings on Facebook. He's donated that one to us, and it's going to. I'm digging deep here. It's taken me all day to write these raffle tickets, by the way, but it is so worth it because it's all going to a good cause. Oh, it's another Norwegian male, and he has bought bucket loads of raffle tickets. This man is called Odd Kåre Nøsdal, and that is so deserved. He's buying raffle tickets, tons of them every week. Well done. And then the last one is we need to give you some Hotel Tia merch, Jan, if you haven't had any yet. We've got some really cool stuff. This one. We've got tons of different ones. So the winner of this t-shirt will choose, obviously, size and print. We've got tons. You can go and have a look at our web shop and pick design. The winner is, oh my goodness, Odd Kåre Nøsdal again. I told you.
Yeah, but if you buy
10 raffle tickets.
Absolutely.
2 prizes in one go. That's karma. That is karma. And look at that hat packed with raffle tickets. That's incredible. And then for today's prizes that we will draw on the show following Saturday, it is, as I already showed you, the other one of our John Barnes shirts, and this very special picture given by Tommy Smith's family. His son has given that to us. And also a signed copy of my Liverpool captain's book.
Yes.
If you want to get in the raffle, just donate whatever you want to donate. £10 a raffle ticket. And you can donate to paypal.me/HotelTia or Vips to 600312. And I also want to say thank you to the Norwegian supporter branch who's been co-sending with us today. If you are a Norwegian getting ready for the big day tomorrow, and you're not a member of the Norwegian supporter branch yet, you've got to go into liverpool.no and sign up. It's only like a couple of £100 kroner. You get 8 magazines a year. You get all the stories behind that wall as well of fabulous journalism about the Reds. And also it's a great community. You get access to Anfield and you get discount on merch, etc. You've seen a lot of Norwegians over the year coming to Anfield, haven't you?
It is truly amazing and unbelievable. I mean, in the 80s when we used to go pre-season, we always used to go to Norway. The players always used to look. It was the first thing we asked, are we going to Norway pre-season? Because we just love going to Norway. And when you go now, I mean, I've said before, I work for Danish TV, and you go to London to watch football, there's thousands of Norwegians. You go to Old Trafford, you go to Anfield, there's just Norwegians everywhere. It's incredible, isn't it? But it's wonderful. And I know there's a lot of our friends from Norway listening here. So gratulerer med dagen I morgen, 17. May. If you are going to have a drink to celebrate National Day, have one on Liverpool as well, because it's only a matter of time before we win. So make it a double celebration. Absolutely.
My final question to you tonight, Jan. It's been an absolutely pleasure listening to you and having a chat with you. And the last question comes from Damien Walsh. He is saying, what was your favorite moment wearing the Super Reds jersey?
I think it was winning the FA Cup. I think it was that final whistle in 1986. It was one of the reasons I came to England, was to play at Wembley in an FA Cup final. And to do that and to win, that was the moment, that final whistle, and you go, can't believe we've done it. And of course, it wasn't just winning the cup, because we'd won the league the week before, so it was winning the double. It's one of those moments that will never ever be beaten, I think.
Jan Mølby, such a true legend of Liverpool Football Club and a true legend to support Hotel Tia and the food bank in Liverpool and all the families who need help from us now. Thank you so much for your stories and your time. I hope you take care and stay safe until the pandemic is over. It's still quite scary in England, and actually right now Liverpool has just come out. Liverpool is the second worst city affected right now after London. So please stay safe, Jan. And for everyone who's watching, that goes out to you as well. I know it's difficult with all the regulations and the isolating times, but hang in there, be strong. I know tomorrow will be a bit tough for all of us, extra tough for all of us, but we're all in this together. We're only 2 wins away. The league will start up very soon, hopefully already now in June. And we will win that trophy eventually. And what a party it will be when it's safe and legal to do so. So with that, I just want to say thank you everyone who donated. Thank you everyone to watch tonight. And Jan, thank you so much. And also thank you so much to your wife who let us steal you for an hour and a half on a glorious Saturday night. So lots of love to Mandy as well. Take care, Jan, and all the best from us at Hotel Tia.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. And everybody, look after yourselves. We'll be back before you know it. We'll be back stronger than ever. Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.